Welcome to Aurora, It's Your Business, the program where we shine a light on the people and companies shaping the future of the Aurora region. I am Kelly O'Brien, the President and CEO of the Aurora Regional Economic Alliance, your local economic development and Chamber of Commerce partner, and your host. Twice a month, we will sit down with the business leaders, entrepreneurs, and change makers driving growth, innovation, and opportunity right here in the Aurora region. On today's program, we are talking to Karen Nicholas from Yellow Bird Books and Brian Failing from the Aurora Regional Fire Museum. We're here today to talk about some great ideas for things to do this summer. It's summer. I'm so excited to chat with you both and to help our audience really understand some of the great things that they can do right here in our hometown. So saying that, let's just kick off with the Fire Museum. I know from the Alliance, we did a sponsorship to help with free days at the museum. So help the audience understand, when are those free days and what's it all about?
Yeah, so this summer we're so excited and we appreciate the continued partnership now with the Alliance. Invest Aurora actually has been a sponsor of the free days for a number of years, so we're happy to continue that on. So the first Tuesday of June, July, and August, there's free admission for everyone from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. during our normal hours. So the first one will be June 3rd, and then the next one will be July 1st, and then August 5th.
And so for those that have not visited the Fire Museum, help the audience understand what's there and what are some of the highlights that they should make sure not to miss when they visit.
Yeah, so the Fire Museum is actually located in Aurora's 1894 Central Fire Station, right here in downtown Aurora. So it served as a station for over 80 years. And once it was empty, it was sat vacant for a number of years, renovated into the museum you see today. So the crowning jewel is the fact that it's the 1894 building itself. We have 2 floors of exhibits. Downstairs, we have our permanent exhibit that looks at the history of firefighting from colonial America to present day. 5 apparatus on display from the region, Aurora, Batavia, Chicago, and similar ones to what Aurora would have had. And then upstairs, we have a hands-on children's discovery room, changing exhibit space that has a few different exhibits in it: Aurora Fire Department, Chicago Fire, and 9/11 at the moment.
Excellent. And you said Chicago Fire, and so I will just share with the audience that my grandfather was a Chicago fireman, and many members of my family serve as firefighters today, actually. And we're so happy to be able to have my grandfather's helmet at the Fire Museum. Yeah, in fact, my grandparents came from Ireland, but they didn't meet until they were here. And when my grandfather proposed to the woman who became my grandmother eventually, she said she would only marry him if he had a proper job. And he said, well, what is a proper job? And she said, a Chicago fireman. So that's what he did. And he was very proud of his service, and the whole family is very proud. So we feel a special connection to the work that you do, Brian. So thank you. And as it is summer, what is better than summer reading, especially if you can grab a great book and be on a beach. And I think we absolutely want to acknowledge and celebrate 2 years in business. Is that right, Karen? So, you're really an entrepreneur at the heart of the work that you do. And so for our audience, can you help share the journey with how you decided to open a bookstore?
Oh, well, I had a change in my professional career. I was a preschool teacher at the time, and after COVID, the preschool reopened for a year, but then it closed. And so I had, a decision to make of what I wanted to do next. So, I wasn't ready to retire. I wasn't old enough to retire quite yet. So I thought, this is something that I've always kind of had a little fantasy of. Wouldn't it be great to own a bookstore? And so I started doing some research and looking into, what it took to do that. And about a year or so later, we opened our doors.
Well, oh, so it took about a year, and I assume that you started with creating a business plan, and kind of what were some of the steps that you went from conception to opening the business?
Well, I am, a teacher. I was a teacher for over 20 years. So business was not in my background. So I took some time to do some research. I joined the American Booksellers Association, and they've got many, many resources available to help people get started. I attended some of their conferences, some of their trainings, and then I visited the Small Business Development Center at Waubonsee and got some great help from them as far as, how to write up a business plan, because it was all new to me.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that, because I think it's important for the audience. If you have an idea to start a business, we want to help you. We want to support entrepreneurs, the Alliance, and there's an ecosystem here in Aurora and the Aurora region that will help you go from, again, just having an idea to being able to open a business. So thank you for sharing that story. And, I know that recently it was Independent Bookstore Day, which is kind of a national program. Is that right?
That's right.
And so tell us a little bit about that. And was there increased foot traffic? And, was it, were you surprised by people that maybe popped in?
It was a fabulous day. So Independent Bookstore Day is a national event to celebrate independent bookstores and to offer, the support. And yes, so we participated in the Chicagoland bookstore crawl. So there were over 50 bookstores from Chicago proper to the Chicagoland area that participated. They print out a passport, and people visit the different locations, and then you stamp their passport when they visit your store. If people reach 10 bookstores, they get a coupon for 10% off at any of the participating stores. And if they hit 15, which is quite a feat, they get a coupon for 15% off at the participating stores.
That is great. And I understand that there were people from outside of Illinois that even came to visit?
Yes, we had people from all over. People from, Chicago, people from, Wisconsin, Indiana. They come from all over.
Well, and thank you for luring customers to the downtown area, because I'm sure while they are there specifically to see your lovely bookstore, and it really is lovely. If you haven't had a chance to visit, I highly recommend you stop what you're doing and go and visit Yellow Bird Books, because it is a special, special place. But it's great to see that there are folks from even outside of our traditional region, because while they're visiting the bookstore, they might be eating and drinking in other establishments or visiting a museum. And so going back to the museum, I know that you do a lot of work on the national stage. Can you help us understand how Aurora's Fire Museum kind of fits into that larger museum network?
Yeah, so part of it is the museum, but also part of it's just my professional interests and, what the museum has allowed me to be involved with. And so I serve on the board of directors of our state level museum association. Last year helped plan their annual conference, do some fundraising for that, and serve as their treasurer and things like that. And then on the national level, with the American Alliance of Museums, I am a peer reviewer for one of their assessment programs. The American Association for State and Local History review award applications, support the conference, but then also attending these national conferences and presenting at them oftentimes.
And so how many fire museums are there in Illinois?
So, there's 3 other main ones in Illinois. However, there are some smaller ones throughout the state. There's one that is on the grounds of the Illinois State Fairgrounds. There's one up in Elgin and one in Chicago. But what really sets Aurora apart is the fact that we do have a professional staff and very regular hours that we're open.
And Brian, how would you say that the museum really connects right now with Aurora's history and identity?
So the fire department, next year will celebrate 170 years. The fire department has been a fabric of this community from its beginning. So many people who, especially in the early days, all the firefighters pretty much lived in the city of Aurora. So the fire department, police department, first responders, all of these things, are just so interwoven to just the fabric of the community.
I think that's really special. And speaking of the fabric of the community, at the bookstore, you host book clubs, right?
We do.
And not only host them, but also support other book clubs. Can you help us understand a little bit about that?
We do. So we have several book clubs that we're involved in. We have some that meet at the bookstore, and then we have others that meet at other local businesses who have started their own book clubs. So for those book clubs, we will carry the books. And so, people can get them anywhere, but, the other business owners are really great, and they encourage them to come over to Yellowbird Books to support, a local business. And then we have some in our own store that we run as well. So we partner with Kristen Latour from the Aurora Writers Workshop, and she hosts a poetry book group that meets bi-monthly. She does a wonderful job with it, and because she is a poet herself and an educator, she knows a lot of the authors. And so she will arrange for them to Zoom in for part of the discussion. And she does a fabulous job. So that's always really exciting. We just also recently partnered with the Aurora LGBTQ Advisory Board and just had our first book club with them this past Saturday. And then we will run some book clubs of our own that we call the One and Done Book Club. So some people really have a hard time, committing to a monthly book club and keeping up with all the reading. So what we do is we select a book that either one of our staff has read and really loved, or one of our customers has read and expressed an interest in having a discussion. We schedule a date for everyone to get together and read them. We have books available at the store. And then we get together and have a great time talking about the books, and then you're done.
Oh,
if you want to come to all of them, you're welcome, but you're not committed to.
and so really anybody is welcome?
Anybody.
And is its information available on the website?
It is. On website and our social media.
And so Brian, in terms of the Fire Museum this summer, there's a 9/11 exhibit. Is that? Can you help us understand what that is, and again, encourage the audience to be able to see it?
Yeah, definitely. So earlier this year, we were reached out to by the Children's Museum in Oak Lawn, and they had an opportunity a number of years ago. They received 2 pieces of the Twin Towers, and so they used that to create an exhibit that was both informative and educational for adults, but also geared towards children. So this used to be in their museum, and they offered to, or they started, I should say, loaning it out to museums across the Midwest. And so they reached out to us to see if we would be interested in it. And of course, we were like, yes, yes, yes. Because again, 9/11 touched everyone, and especially to the Aurora Fire Department did send a number of firefighters there to assist with the recovery efforts in the days and weeks after. And so from June 3rd through September 13th, we will have this exhibit on display at the museum.
It is so important to always, to never forget that day, and especially the brave souls that were in Washington and at the Pentagon and in New York. And it's just great that it's hard to believe that we're 25 years, almost 25 years from that horrific day. And thank you for making sure that we are teaching our younger generation, about our history and the people that sacrificed for us.
And two, the exhibit really gives us a good opportunity. You know, we're talking about community and bringing people in from outside of our area. We have a unique opportunity as well that, you know, members of the Aurora Regional Fire Museum, but also the Children's Museum in Oak Lawn will receive a free reciprocal membership during the run of the exhibit. So if you're a member in Oak Lawn, you can come to the Fire Museum and vice versa. If you're a member of the Fire Museum, you can go out to Oak Lawn for free during the summer.
Well, again, that is so great to have those kind of partnerships because it just opens up so many opportunities,
Correct.
especially again in terms of even inspiring the next generation to want to have that, you know, as a career and to help people remember, you know, the significant events like 9/11 and to, you know, again, just honor people like my grandfather who, you know, we have, you know, his hat at the museum. And it's just, you know, so many days you don't know what to do with the kids. Or if you are a teacher, you know, and you've got a summer day, it's so great that we've got such an amazing asset right here in downtown Aurora. And so in terms of the bookstore, help us understand and get, in addition to the book clubs, what else do you do to help kind of draw in people for, you know, to buy books?
Oh, we love to have all kinds of events at the bookstore. So we always participate in First Fridays. And for those events, we invite local artists to submit artwork and we put it on display. And artists provide prints of their work too, so people can purchase that and support the artists. And we are going to be doing some story times this summer. So we, you know, are planning some family events as well. We're going to do a kind of a family reading night. At least
Nice.
once.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So people can come, you know, bring their pillow and blanket and find a cozy place to sit in the bookstore and read with their family members. We have several local authors who are going to be visiting, actually local and national authors that are going to be coming to visit the bookstore during the summer months. So we've got a lot of things happening.
You have a lot happening.
Yeah.
And for those that want to understand which authors you have, what's the best way for them to get that information?
We have the information on our events link on our website, and we always post the events on our social media as well.
And then I know that we're talking about summer, and I'm personally so excited that it's summer. It's my favorite season. But I know, Brian, that it won't be too long when we'll be turning seasons again, and you already have something in the works for fall, don't you?
Yeah, so we are very excited. So those who have been to the museum, we have a children's discovery room, all hands on. And one thing we've really wanted to do is, you know, increase the playability of that space. And so what our mission, or I should say our vision being the past, present, and future of the fire service, you know, really inspiring that next generation. So we will be completely redoing our children's discovery room this fall. And it'll open, it'll be a new exhibit called Safety at Play, Firefighter's Adventure. We're so fortunate we did receive a grant grant from a local foundation that will be funding that project.
Nice.
You know, and again, how often would you say that you're changing exhibits?
So like things like our permanent exhibit is more of like a 15 to 20 year thing, but we're always adding and changing things. And then we have more of our temporary exhibits that could be up anywhere from a couple months to a couple years.
And, you know, both of you are really leaders in the Aurora business community and especially in the downtown. So, you know, what has prompted you to be so involved? I mean, sometimes just running your own business can take everything that you've got, right? It's a morning, noon, and night, venture, but you both go above and beyond. So again, kind of what inspires you to do that?
You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. My family's lived in Aurora for 16 years, and there's been tremendous growth just in that time that we've lived here, from the Paramount to the fire, development of the fire museum and different places and businesses downtown. We really believe that you need to create the community that you want to live in. Mm-hmm. So since we've moved here, we've tried to support in different ways, whether it's just patronizing the different businesses downtown, participating in events or volunteering in the community. That's why I wanted to open the bookstore in downtown Aurora.
And thank you for choosing downtown Aurora. And Brian?
Well, for me, it's similar. The fire department, as we mentioned, has such a long, rich history in the city of Aurora. The Fire Museum also has a long, rich history in the city of Aurora. And it's a sum of the parts. If the Fire Museum's doing well, then hopefully the business down the street's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
If Yellowbird's doing well, then hopefully the restaurants are doing well. So
Mm-hmm.
we all feed on each other.
Yes.
So we aren't able to each do everything, but
Mm-hmm.
if we all do something and contribute to just propelling and moving things forward, then it's going to be a great place to live, great
Mm-hmm.
place to visit, and just a great place to invest in.
And I think you both have seen a lot of change, right? A lot of positive change in the last decade, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your thoughts in terms of what's next for downtown Aurora?
For me, it's just interesting to see how downtown will continue to change as we get more businesses in some of the storefronts, some of the new residential coming in, the new developments along the river and in the downtown and beyond. But then just seeing how things like the Chris Kindle Market continue to grow and evolve and bring more people downtown, not just from our own community, but from across the region.
Karen?
I hope that we'll continue to get new small businesses opening up in Aurora. We have a piece of artwork in our store that was done by a local artist, but it was also inspired by an old postcard that you can get at the David Pierce History Center. But it says, "Spend the day in Aurora." And I would love for people, including myself and my family, to be able to come downtown and spend the day there, have places to shop, have places to visit, entertainment, places to go eat, and just be able to spend the day in our beautiful downtown.
Mm-hmm. I thank you for bringing that up, because again, I think that so many people, even local residents, never mind people around the region, they may not even really understand the full scope of assets that are in downtown Aurora.
So many.
It is, and just walking up and down the streets, I mean, the architecture it's breathtaking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's one street in particular, that I'm thinking about, and I think it's LaSalle, and I mean, literally, some of those structures looks like New Orleans. I mean, with the wrought iron, gates, and it's so beautiful. And you absolutely can make a day and more being, just exploring and being able to take advantage of some unique restaurants, be able to take advantage of the museum and stores like, this wonderful bookstore, which is just such a gem. And, I'm just wondering again, in terms of, business, I would assume that you see a lot of kind of regular patrons. I mean, so help us talk a little bit about the people that are the regulars, shall we say.
We've been really embraced by the community. I've mentioned that we get people from all over the region, but it's our community that really keeps us going. We try to include as many local artists and authors and makers, in the other merchandise that we sell, as well as books. But it's just wonderful when we have, families that come in, and, we have a family that has 5 girls, and when they came in, they had a little baby that they carried in a carrier, and now she's walking all over the store. It's just wonderful. We have support from all ages, from, families with young children to people who are retired and everywhere in between.
Well, as one of my last questions, which I have been really excited about being able to ask you as we embark on this summer, what are the hot books?
That's a really challenging question, because there are so
very
many
subjective
that
too,
come
right?
out, and very subjective. So I chose a few that I feel maybe would appeal to a broad range of interests. So for people who are looking for a good beach read, kind of a more in the romance area.
Who doesn't love a good beach romance book?
We have a new book by Taylor Jenkins Reid coming out in June. She's the author of Daisy Jones and the Six and the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
Oh, yes.
It's about a woman in the 1980s who's a professor, a science professor at a university, and she sees an advertisement for women joining the space shuttle program. And so it's kind of about her journey there, but of course there's going to be a love story involved. It's called Atmosphere. I don't know if I said the name. Emily Henry, Ellie Hazelwood are two other really popular authors at our store who have had books coming out. Either they've already come out this month or they will be coming out shortly. If you're more interested in more of a thriller or mystery, Stephen King's got a book coming out. Actually, it came out yesterday. Frida McFadden is a really popular thriller author. And then S.A. Cosby has a book called King of Ashes, which is described as a Godfather-inspired Southern crime thriller and family drama.
Oh.
So that's a exciting one. There's so many more. I could go on and on.
I don't know. All right. Well, I will make sure to put those on my list because they sound really, really very intriguing. And there's, again, nothing better than to get lost in a great book. And Brian, any closing remarks that you want to make sure the audience knows?
No, just encourage everyone, whether you're interested in history, firefighting, have a family, come on down, check out the museum. Just so much to offer. And then, hopefully go and check out Yellowbird Books and some of the many other restaurants and businesses, small businesses in downtown Aurora.
Well, thank you, Karen. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you joining us today and helping our community really know all the great things that are available here in Aurora. And I appreciate being able to call you friends and being able to walk into your respective establishments and all that you do, for Aurora and for the Alliance. And so to our audience, if you are a business owner and thinking about launching your next venture, we want you to do it right here in Aurora. Please be sure to reach out to the Aurora Alliance. You can send us an email or you can call us. Visit our website, auroraalliance.org, and there is information there on how you can get in touch with us. And again, to our viewers, be sure to check out Yellowbird Books and the Aurora Regional Fire Museum. Until next time, thank you for watching. And at the end of the day, remember, Aurora, it's your business.